Cats are wonderful, aren't they? Their urine, not so much. We don't want it on our clothes, our furniture, on the floor, in the sink. It belongs in the litter pan. Have you gotten frustrated by this? I get it. Stay with me. We can get this right. Do you have a cat in your home who's an inappropriate urinator? Well, if you have, put it in the comment line, please, and we can talk about it while I do this. I've got a lot of information, but custom fitting it to the individual home and cats and people, that really, really makes it successful. And by the way, if you know anybody who could benefit, oh, thank you for the hearts. Already I know that I'm doing something valuable. I appreciate that. And if you know somebody whose pets can benefit from this, for heaven's sake, put their name in the comment line, because they need to be here for this. By the way, in case I haven't met anybody here, I'm veterinarian Dr. Jeff Nickel, along with Gaston here. You can hardly see him. He'll be back around on the table here in a minute. And Tony, who's on the floor. And Carolyn will throw a few treats up here so they can jump up back on the table. And of course, this is Miss America, the Nickel family border collie, who's here just for moral support. This doesn't have anything to do with dogs today. This is about cats. So let me start out with a question that came into my newspaper column. I put a column in the Albuquerque Journal every Friday morning. I've done it since 1996, every week without fail. And we have Elizabeth. Hey, wonderful. Thank you for coming. I hope this is valuable. So this is a column I got not that long ago. And I titled these, although the editor always puts their own headline on, and I called it Cat Urine Spray, Are We Having Fun Yet? So here's the question. I have indoor cats. This person didn't tell me how many. One of the black cats, which means that I'm sure have at least 3, named Toby, has gotten aggressive with the others, and he started to spray urine about 6 months ago. You know, people let these things go on not because they're negligent, but because they go to the internet and they try to, all the things that their friends explain that might work, and they go through this list of remedies until they get to the point where they say, I've tried everything. Well, they've tried everything but actually getting a real diagnosis for what's causing it, and then custom fitting a behavior modification plan, management changes, dealing with anxieties that sometimes occur in these cats, other stressors. These things are actually quite complicated, and this urine soiling problem is the most common behavior problem from cat parents. It's the most common reason that they get relinquished to shelters. Thank you, Carolyn. And they are, these are cats that in almost every case we can improve this problem significantly or eliminate it, and people should never get frustrated and simply get rid of a cat they love because they think they've tried everything. Because if you haven't been to a veterinary behaviorist, you haven't tried everything, because we need to pick these things apart and manage them. But anyway, let me continue, all right? So I've never had this happen before, so I am not sure what to do or where to go. I have used Nature's Miracle everywhere. And that's one good way to help, but one among many. And there have been no changes in the house, so I'm not sure why all of a sudden this is happening. Well, something has changed. So my response. We frown on cats decorating our walls, don't we? This is a urine sprayer in this case. Actually, nobody is having fun at your house. Toby's aggression and urine spraying are manifestations of his angst, a problem that's been simmering in your multi-cat household for a while. Any minor stress, perhaps visits from outdoor cats, showing up in the yard, may have caused him to lose his grip. These problems are often smoldering below the surface, and there aren't overt symptoms of the behavior disorder until something just pushes them over the threshold and they lose control and start engaging in things like urine spraying. Start by having Toby examined. A urinalysis would be valuable, but be aware that infections cause only about 2%, actually a little bit less than that. We have very strong research on this, of these urinary symptoms in cats. It's very easy to say, well, he's got an infection, let's try antibiotics. It's almost rare. It's so seldom, about 1.6% actually, to be more accurate. And very often that's in cats who are immune compromised. Now, the reason is that cats normally have very concentrated urine, very acidic urine, much more so than dogs or humans, and this just does not favor bacterial growth. So when we do see it on a culture, and we shouldn't diagnose urinary infection in cats without a culture, there's something else that's behind the problem, something else going on physically typically. So on the other hand, bladder stones, crystals, afflict as many as 42% of cats who pass small amounts, sometimes bloody urine, or have urinary behavior problems. And abdominal x-ray is actually sometimes a better diagnostic investment for the cat parent, because 42% were far more likely to see a problem on x-ray than find it on culture, for example, or urinalysis, where it's less than 2%. So indoor cats feel crowded and anxious very often, particularly in multi-cat households. Everybody, including the urine sprayer at your house, in this person's case, sometimes needs to get away from the throng and be a solitary cat. Your job, the cat parent, is to make the inside of your house a wonderland of natural feline amusements and activities. In other words, cats really, in so many ways, belong outdoors, but they can run into cars, big dogs, get abscesses, infectious disease. Not necessarily safe out there, is it? So if we're going to keep them inside, which isn't really their natural environment, then what they need is something that mighty close to a natural environment indoors. And there's a long list of feline environmental enrichments. I've brought them up during these Facebook Lives in the past. And you can go to my website, drjeffnicol.com, drjeff, N-I-C-H-O-L, and go to the Behavior Help page, and you'll find feline environmental enrichments. Now, it occurs to me now I'm working on some of these and bringing them up to date and editing them. So if you don't find it in there when you go, just send me a message here on Facebook, and I'll make sure that I post it for you. All right. So you can further reduce the tension in your home by promoting good bathroom etiquette. And we're going to talk about that in a serious way in just a few minutes. You want your kitties to have a fresh place to eliminate whenever the whim strikes. Provide as many big open litter pans as you have cats, plus one more. Scoop the clumping litter twice a day, and dump and wash the litter pans weekly. The faint scent of old urine is another important stressor. Nature's Miracle is a good enzymatic cleaner, but here's one for you, and I'm going to show you this right now. One is called, a good one that has a bacterial component that eliminates organic matter in urine is one. This is called Anti-Icky Poo, and this is a great product that I have had wonderful success with cats who, excuse me, girlfriend, I'm going to sit down next to you. Thank you, darling. Will you sit, please? Thank you. Good girl. Anti-Icky Poo and Zero Odor have enzymes in them to eliminate, break down organic matter that is left behind when the water, that part of urine, evaporates. But they also have an active organism that also breaks that stuff down. Nature's Miracle is a good product, but it doesn't have an active organism. Okay, so let's talk about what else we can do. And by the way, anybody got a cat here that does this kind of stuff? Tell me a few details and we'll try to custom fit what we're doing to make a difference for your cat. Okay, so litter pan management. Need to get your arms around this thing. Lots of litter pans. I mean, if you've got 5 cats, you need 6 litter pans at least. We have 2 cats, Gaston and Tony, and we have, what's happening, boys? We have a total of 4 litter pans. So, yeah, you can't have too many litter pans, and you want to make sure that you scoop them, check them, run the circuit twice a day, and scoop them out. I'll tell you, the best kind of scooper is this kind right here. Excuse me, Tony. Let me bring this out here. There we go. This thing is a metal scooper. It's not going to break on you. And you can clean it, and you scoop it into I have a trash can liner in a can outside with a lid on it. We don't want to smell it in the garage or any other place. So I take the litter pans out there morning and night, every night, and scoop them in there. And the good quality clumping litter can last you a week. Some cats prefer a shallow depth, others a deeper depth, but you want to make sure that if a cat says, I think I need to go, well, if they go to a litter pan that's been used, they know where the others are because they're not moving them around, and you can they can urinate whenever they feel like it. And that by itself is huge. People say, well, my cat doesn't urine soil or spray or fecal soil, so I don't think I have much to worry about. But I have to tell you that cats have a sense of smell that's been accurately measured at about 1,000 times as acute as ours, and they're not missing that bad smell, and it's a stressor. And even if they never respond to that stressor by urine soiling, their quality of life isn't what it could be. So keep the stress down and make it easy for your cats to enjoy a high quality life, and keep the litter pans clean, flush the toilet, okay? By the way, everything I'm going to tell you about this stuff is research based. The Veterinary Behavior College has a couple of members, one in particular, who has done a series of research on this most common behavior problem in cats, and we have very strong data to support everything I'm giving you on this thing, not just my experience. So, Cindy, you're here. Wonderful. Thank you for coming. I'm delighted to see you. So, scoop those pans twice a day, and if you've got a cat who's urinating in one spot on the floor, well, put a new litter pan there. I suggest avoiding high traffic areas, particularly if you have children or lots of people in your home. That upsets some cats who just need some peace, and they're engaging in this personal behavior of doing the right thing. Don't put a litter pan in the laundry room. Very common location. Here's what can happen. You got a cat using the pan, and of course we've all watched our cats do this, haven't we? Surreptitiously. We don't want to get caught watching them. And they get that blissful look on their face while they're passing stool or urine, like they're one with their maker. Well, then all of a sudden, the washing machine starts thumping, or the dryer buzzes to tell you that it's time to take the clothes off. And that sudden startle that a cat can get during that physical function can cause a cat, a one-event learner, to come away being frightened of using a litter pan in that room, or that type of litter, or that type of pan, and that can set the problem of urine or fecal soiling into motion. And those sudden noises happen in laundry rooms, so I suggest avoiding that, and try to set these litter pans up in places where cats are going to feel comfortable and they won't get ambushed. Boys, do you need more little cat snacks up here to jump up on the table again? Yeah, Tony, come on up here, buddy boy. Come on up. There you go. It's okay. You can jump up. It's all right. He says, I'm thinking about it. Oh, there he is. Good boy. So if a snack appears up here, we're probably going to have... Here, you can just hand them to me, Carolyn. Oh, all right. That's good. Carolyn tosses them. Sometimes I get them in my hair. But anyway, there we go. Here. Thank you very much. Okay. So, anyway, type of litter, premium clumping litter. In other words, the more expensive kind. It's softer. And old-fashioned clay litter, some cats are okay with it, but it's got those pointed edges, and cats are more likely to use it if they're comfortable. So the premium clumping litter, softer stuff, Tidy Cat, Fresh Step. The ones with carbon make a difference because the carbon actually absorbs urine odors. It truly does what it says it does. That'll reduce the risk of urine problems around the house. Okay. One of the things, oh, by the way, here's something else that I like to suggest. None of this stuff, by the way, is the end-all and be-all by itself. They're all little components that make sense. Here's a product that has been, oh, thank you for the hearts, by the way. I'm glad this is helpful. This is called Cat Attract, Dr. Elsie's litter attractant. You can get this stuff in the jar. I get it online for my cats. Many people buy Dr. Elsie's litter that already has it in there, but studies have shown that the most effective way to go is a high-quality clumping litter and then add the litter attractant, Dr. Elsie's litter attractant. So, I sprinkle a little bit on the litter pan. And by the way, one of my cats has had a problem with this. Not Gaston here, his older brother Tony. Not really his brother, but we think of him that way. Tony's on the floor again. He's had this problem occasionally all his life, and we have fine-tuned our management to the extent where it rarely happens anymore. It's livable. All right, so litter pans can be too small. A series of research by one of the members of the Behavior College has found that bigger is better. And if you go to like Target and get these sweater boxes that people use for storing sweaters during the winter time, recycle the lid. I mean, these are big and they're deep. Well, unless you want your cat to have to pole vault to get in, you use a utility knife and cut down one side. And if you have an elderly cat, and painful joints can be a reason that a cat with a long history of doing the right thing can start soiling outside the pan. It's just gotten too painful for them to climb in. Your veterinarian can treat your cat's joint pain, by the way. They don't complain much. And sometimes the first indicator is a cat who's 12, 14, 16 years old who's not going in the litter pan anymore. So if you're using a really big, deep pan, like a plastic sweater box, and you've cut down one side, then so that the litter doesn't get kicked out of the pan onto the floor, you can put a little ramp up there. And many cats, especially if it's a longer ramp where it's not much of a grade, they can get in there and do fine. So, we have to work with the individuals. So be sure that, these things are easy to use. Avoid covered pans. Most of those, again, studies have shown that they are less likely to get used. And theoretically, it's the odors that can get trapped in there. And part of the problem, I believe, too, is that when people are checking their pans, if it's a covered pan, notice that it's been used and they don't scoop it out as often as they should. So covered pans, we try to avoid those. And the litter pan liners, the plastic liners, cats, many of them, not all, but many of them, it just feels kind of funky on their feet when they're in there. So we try not to use those. We scoop them out, and then once a week, you dump them in that bucket outside, and then you rinse them and use a mild soap to clean the pan because the plastic can absorb those odors. Avoid ammonia because there's ammonia in urine, and if that has that ammonia smell, any kind of a lingering scent, then the cats may avoid the pan. Avoid Clorox, nothing heavy duty like that. You're not really trying to kill a lot of bacteria. You're trying to eliminate the scent. So a mild soap. I soak ours for a couple of hours once a week when I clean them, and then I rinse them out and dry them and put fresh litter and add some Dr. Elsie's Ultra Litter Attractant. I think it's a valuable product. So, what if you catch the cat doing the right thing, like using the litter pan? Don't rush up and have a big party, we'll call in the clown for the face painting in the bounce house. Don't go down that path. Just say, "You're a good boy, Gaston." Our cats love us, and they like to earn that excellent, quiet, reinforcing tone. Tell them that they're doing a good job. Cats are operant learners. They're a little different than dogs and people. But when you tell them that they're doing the right thing, then you tend to get more of the same good behavior. And what if the cat's always going in the wrong place, and you put another litter pan there? There are ways of discouraging them. Do not haul your cat over there and tell them how bad they are. Don't spray them with water. Well, there's probably one time when you should. I think if your cat has caught fire, spraying with water is probably appropriate. But otherwise, you can damage your relationship, and those kinds of punishments do not improve behavior. It might vent your frustration. Please don't do that. Go outside, take 10 deep breaths, count to 10, come back in and go, maybe we ought to see a veterinary behaviorist. Avoid Dr. Google. Dr. Google hasn't done a residency in this specialty, so, all those great ideas by those well-meaning people, not going to get there. We need to custom fit what we're doing here differently. So I like to, if you need to discourage them, here's a product. It's called a Snappy Trainer. It's actually built on a mouse trap, and it does not hurt the cat. When the cat disturbs him, it kind of, whacks him. Says, I don't want to go there. Here's another really great product. This is called a SCAT, SSS cat. You can look this up on the internet. It fits on top of, this is just a compressed air can that you use to blow out the keyboard on the computer. Well, you turn this thing on, and I'm not going to set this thing off because our cats they've used the house plants, and of course that's actually pretty legitimate, isn't it? It's like dirt, like litter, except that that's not where we want them to go. So we've set this up near some of the house plants, and they break the infrared beam here, and this thing goes, psst, and the cat goes, well, thank you, but no. It's harmless. The Snappy Trainer is harmless. And another thing that you can use is go to the hardware store and get a carpet runner, like the realtors use when they're showing a house that's for sale on an open house on a Sunday afternoon, right? Well, those vinyl carpet runners that come in a roll, and you can buy however many feet you want. Well, on the underside, they've got these little pokey things, so it sticks on the carpet and doesn't slide around. So you cut a length of this vinyl carpet runner, turn it upside down, and if you put it on that spot, cats don't want to step on those little pokey parts. Okay, aluminum foil can be a good thing to put on a place where cats have urinated. Might have to put little stones on the corner so it doesn't blow away. And discouraging cats from going in the wrong place, well, that's an easy thing to think of, and that's what most people want to do, and that's a really valuable thing to do. But we must set them up to succeed. And it's sort of like children or your friends or your spouse. If you want people to do things a little different, make it easy for them. Set them up to do things the way you want. I like to suggest that with pets we build a foundation of trust. Again, it's like any good relationship. I don't care whether it's a marriage or a friendship or in the workplace. You want the other person to feel motivated to work for you, God, I love this person, and okay, they want me to do things a little differently, and the litter pans are nice and clean. They're in places where the cats like to use them. Nothing stinks. Nobody's going after them and yelling at them and hosing them down. We've made it easy for them, and then when they do the right thing, we tell them. Have you ever tried that? Catch people doing something right? Boy, that works on pets. And it works on cats. Don't believe that cats can't be trained or that they can't learn what you want them to do, because they will. But you have to be patient and don't get frustrated. Build that foundation. Teach that cat that you're really a great person, and you're going to make it easy for them, and they're going to earn reinforcers when they do the right thing. So build the foundation. And you're welcome to send me a message on Facebook if you have a problem like this, or you know somebody who has, and I can give you a little bit of help with it. Some of these cats are anxious, and some of them have anxiety disorders. If it's mild to moderate, you can use a product like a natural product. This is something called Angstine. Angstine, it has L-theanine. Thank you for those hearts, by the way. I'm really glad I'm doing something helpful. This is that L-theanine. L-theanine is a plant amino acid. It's found naturally in green tea. This one is manufactured, but it's still the same L-theanine. And it's got it has an anti-anxiety effect. Very strong research behind it. And I think I turned off. No, I didn't. It can be very helpful. It's not highly potent. If your cat or more than one of them has a severe anxiety problem, especially if one's bullying another, medications can sometimes make a difference. And behavior medications should never be considered a last resort or avoided at almost all costs, because those that we use nowadays, we understand how they work, how they adjust the neurochemistry in a cat's brain, and we know that we can use them safely because we understand how to dose them. And we want your cat to stay in its home. Do not get frustrated, and do not believe that, well, I've tried everything, until you've talked to somebody with residency training in behavior medicine, or at least a veterinarian who has a strong interest in behavior, or can refer you and your cat to somebody who does. Because when a cat leaves its home, it goes through an enormous stress, and that's why behavior problems are a leading cause of death in cats and dogs, because they end up at the shelter, and they could have stayed home, and they could have enjoyed a good long life in their homes if we made it possible for them. So, empathy. I talk about that a lot because they are a different creature. They're a member of a rather different species. And if we learn what makes them tick, if we can say, all right, you're a little different than I am, and I'm going to adjust my thinking and make it possible for you to do well at home, then that's where they can stay. And oh my goodness gracious, now we're not going to be whacking our brother in the head, excuse me. Bad cats. Yeah, my cats aren't perfect either. So thank you for being here and for sharing a little time with me. I love doing these things because I love pets and I love improving their lives. So thank you and have a wonderful weekend, and wear your mask for goodness sake. Even if you don't think you're going to catch coronavirus, you could get what's called a subclinical infection. You could have the virus, never show symptoms, but you could be shedding it. In other words, exposing others to it. So that's 6 feet. You know, I ran into some people I knew today. They're clients of mine. And one of them wasn't wearing a mask, and oh, she put her mask on, and wanted to shake and introduce me to the other person, and wanted to shake hands. And I said, no, you know, we really can't be doing that. We have to be very careful. Well, then we can bump elbows. And I said, you know, we're not doing that either because our arms aren't long enough to keep us 6 feet apart. Let's think about this and make this our way of life, because, you know, this coronavirus problem, it isn't going away anytime soon. It's going to be with us until a lot of people are vaccinated, and we're not quite even close enough to getting a vaccine yet. I mean, this is miserable. This is bad for us emotionally because we're losing the bonds of some of our friends. Well, let's get together on Facebook, you know, and let's be safe, because this is just no fun at all. And Ann Manners, thank you, and thank me for all that I do. Ann is my sister-in-law. My wife's family is excellent, and I don't just say that because they love me, which they do. And they're pet lovers. So that gives us a special bond too. So thank you again, everybody, for being here. And I hope to see everybody again next Thursday at 6 o'clock Mountain Time. That makes it 8 o'clock Eastern. And have a great week, and please be safe.